Thank you for joining, and I hope you are having a great reInvent so far. So we are really excited and thrilled that you joined us today, and we are going to dive deep into the exciting world of generative AI and how it can transform the managed services practice. So think of a world where your managed services business operating at unprecedented efficiency. Or you come to know your managed services customer requirement ahead of your time. Or maybe you are delivering cutting-edge services and solutions ahead of the curve with all the generative AI. And that world is not just a possibility. That world is becoming a reality, and thanks to generative AI. My name is Bappa. I'm the Global Tech Lead of AWS MSP program. And with me, I have David. David, want to share something about you?
Yeah, thank you so much for introducing me. I'm David Beach, Senior Customer Success Manager and Global Lead for Generative AI with AWS. And I'm very excited to present this session with Bappa today that will be discussing a little bit how you can leverage AI and more specifically generative AI for managed services operations. But also if you're in an enterprise customer, you can use these for your internal cloud operations that you will be using for increasing efficiency and productivity for the internal cloud operations. And to really put things into perspective for you, we actually have an MSP ambassador program with us. Guido Nebbioli traveled all the way here from Italy to present with us some actual use case that they're actually doing this for their internal operations. And this is a level 200 session. There won't be much technical content presented, but we'll discuss some of the technical content here, but not that deep. And the goal is really to give you actionable insights that you can really leverage and walk away with some real use cases in your hand. So, Papa, what do you think we start with some understanding of the audience?
Sure. So, can you raise your hand? How many of you have MSP offerings? Oh, okay, quite a few. And my second question is, are you an AWS partner? Okay. Are you an AWS MSP partner? Okay, good. So for those of you who said no to any of these questions, we'll be off stage after this presentation, and we can talk about the AWS MSP program, how to get enrolled, and how to get the ball rolling. Okay? Thank you for joining us. So now, I want to go back to David and put you on the spot. So to give us overview, what is Gen AI? And if you can elaborate, what are the key capabilities and what other applications that we can develop with the MSP with the Gen AI?
Awesome. Thank you so much. So most of us are somehow familiar with AI. I think the focus of reInvent, as we have seen, has been a lot on AI and generative AI just because of the impact it's making in the market. But the question is why? Why is it so big? So the main thing that really makes generative AI so unique is that Gen AI can create content that's close enough to what a human can do. And that's very unique. That is very unique with enough training and with using the right foundation models or large language models that we would be using. You can actually create good content that would be similar. And I'll talk about what kind of content this is. And what can it do? Really, the goal is to automate and customize tasks that you can otherwise low-level tasks that a human would be doing, but you don't have to spend time of human resources that you could be allocating those resources to a higher-level task that they would be doing. And most of those tasks can be done with generative AI, and we'll be discussing about those use cases. And there's a wide range of use cases: text summarization, answering, customer service. And we'll talk more about that. And really the main outcome here is to reduce time to value for customers and using some kind of foundation models that you would be implementing your Gen AI solution. And I talked about what Gen AI can do. Really, we split Gen AI in really two kind of capabilities: content creation and natural language interactions. In content creation, creating text is what Gen AI is very good at. We're talking about product descriptions, writing blogs and marketing materials. Excellent source. Creating images, we're talking about product images, for different use cases. Excellent use case that you can use for Gen AI. And more importantly, for managed services, code generation. Code generation is a very useful use case for most of the managed services partners and also internal IT operations. When we go into natural language interactions, customer support using chatbots and summarization of documents is very important. Automating many of the tasks that you will be doing can be done by generative AI. And knowledge search, providing a better search experience for customers, internal and external customers, is huge. It's just that the output of a search should not just be an array of text. It could be really customized based on what the users want to see. Now the question is how all of this fits into MSP, what the world of MSP is going through and the trends and challenges that it's going through. And Bappa is going to walk us through that in the next few minutes.
Thank you, David. So now, if you are a managed services provider, you have seen some drastic changes in customer expectations over recent years. So this is the new S-curve showing the evolution of managed services trend over the last 30 years. Now, if you start from the left, you will see we started with the standardization of processes and tools in the mid-90s, moving through offshoring, lean ops, DevOps in 2000 and early 2010. Now, we are at a very pivotal point, the start of a new S-curve. We are moving from a labor arbitrage era driven by people to a technology arbitrage era driven by AI. This new S-curve began around 2015 with RPA progressing through process mining and AI/ML. But the real game changer is the generative AI, which you can see sitting at the top. As we approach 2025, generative AI is well set to dominate and transform the managed services industry. It's not just an improvement, it's a paradigm shift. We are moving to a new world. Understanding and adopting Gen AI is very crucial for the MSPs who want to lead in this new S-curve or in this new era. So let's explore throughout this session how MSP can leverage this technology to stay ahead of the curve. Sorry. Now, David, coming back to your second question about the challenges. So with every opportunity, there comes some challenges. Now, as we look at the challenges what MSPs are facing in this new era, based on what we have talked with our MSPs, we can really focus things into key 5 areas. The first, shifting landscape of MSP tools, including AI/ML and automation, is the most significant challenge at 35%. Next, navigating customer demands or changing customer behavior follows at 24%, reflecting the need to adopt agile response strategies to meet your customer demands. Data privacy, governance, risks and compliance issue account for 15% of the challenges, highlighting the pressure coming from regulatory or industry security requirements. Customer retention through value-added services. This tells about differentiation. More or less, all MSPs will have some kind of same offerings. So how you want to differentiate your offering from your customer, from your competitors? That is all about differentiation. And just a quick fact here, AWS MSP program is also a kind of quite differentiator. In AWS partner ecosystem, we have around 130K partners, 30K plus partners, 130K plus partners. In AWS MSP program, we have only 184 partners. So it's a big differentiator and it's not for everyone. So the partners who are in the program is sitting at the top. Next, gaining customer insight or data insight from customer data analytics, which is at 12%, highlighting the value of data-driven decision making. Now, these are the top 5 challenges that we have seen when we had done a survey with our customer. But after we have done the survey, we still got some new feedback from the customers and from the MSPs. One thing that it is not showing in the list, the other challenge that MSPs are facing, hiring the right talent with AI/ML skills, which you cannot see here. But this is the latest feedback that we got from the MSP, that really they are struggling to hire the right talent. Now, throughout these presentations, we are going to cover how to mitigate these challenges And then anything we are not covering, we can always be off stage and we can have that discussion. Now, let's see what are the use case MSPs can develop. Okay, let me take a pause here. Let me take a step back and show you how the next gen MSP practice look like before I go into the use case. So this is a 360 view of a future focused next gen managed services practice. We have divided the view into two broad domains, the business practices and the technical practices. Under business practices, we have defined perspective and capabilities. Like under business practices, we have business, people, governance as a business perspective. And then on the technical, we have platform, security, and operations. Under each perspective, there are capabilities. Okay? So the business perspective helps to ensure that your cloud investment accelerate your managed services ambitions and your business outcomes. Then comes the people perspective. The people perspective is a bridge between the business and the technology. Here we are focusing on building the cloud center of excellence. Now you can see there are two parts, advanced and the standard. The cloud center of excellence focus on workforce and talent management, how you design your services, what are the security governance guardrails that you want to define, what are the cloud training you have, so on and so forth. The cloud center of excellence advanced focus on culture evolution, leadership transformation, and innovation management. Then we have the governance perspective. The governance helps you to orchestrate your cloud initiatives and offerings while maximizing the value for your business and for your customer and minimizing the risk when you go for managed services engagement. And then you need security to ensure that you are delivering a secure and stable solution to your customer. Here we'll deal with the security governance and compliance. We deal with access management, identity management, data protection, infrastructure protection, and application security if you are managing applications on behalf of your customer. Security is paramount for any service organization, and it is job zero for AWS. Now, finally, the operations perspective. The operations perspective helps you to ensure that you are delivering the services at a level that meets your customer requirement. Here we talk about all the ITL processes like incident management, IT service management, DevOps, monitoring, advisory process, FinOps, so on and so forth. So this holistic view helps us to understand the interconnected nature of these practices and how they collectively create a robust managed services practice. So if you have this organization or structure, no matter how technology evolves in the future, you will still have some kind of solid foundation to build on that. Now, most important part. As you have seen in the previous slide, in the S-curve, GenAI is sitting at the top of the new S-curve. So here, GenAI has the capability to impact each and every function of every pillar. And how to do that? Now, again, David, I will put you on the spot. So if you can walk us through different use cases that MSP can build that can map with these boxes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bapa. Yeah, very good. So Bapa explained the two practices and 6 perspectives that a next-gen MSP based on AWS's best practices is structured. And we did a lot of brainstorming with our partners, with ourselves. What are the best use cases that we can come up right now that GenAI can deliver business value almost immediately? And we came up with a list. There's more, but we came up with quite a few lists that actually I think it would help for us. When we go to business perspective, one of the best business value that our partners are using or planning to use GenAI is for RFP and RFI generation and response. And if most of us, we've been through this process, when you see how much time it takes to create and respond to from days to weeks and months, all of that can be really streamlined using GenAI. When we go to people, is not advancing. Can you go to the next one? Okay. When we go to people perspective, there's a wide range of use cases that Gen AI is already adding value. If you work for some of the organizations that have adopted Gen AI, you might have experienced this. But the most important one that we see in improving productivity is the enterprise search and knowledge management. It's huge. And many companies are already adopting some form of internal operations using Gen AI for providing the best research, provide the search based on what employees want. And also this really helps with employees not needing that much support from a central function. You know, they can actually do this 24/7. They can get the response to what they need. On the governance side, there's also a wide range of use cases. Compliance and audit reporting is very, very helpful right now. And it's becoming more common for MSPs to rapidly create the report that they need, but also provide the auditing that they need from the infrastructure, applications that they are managing, and the whole portfolio that they have. When we move into technical practices, the use cases are much more than the business practices. We've come up with a bunch of them on the platform perspective. We talked about the code creation of capability of Gen AI, but we're talking about code conversion, application modernization, infrastructure management. There's a whole wide range of things under the platform. Gen AI is already helping many companies. Under the security, again, you know, when we talk about security using Gen AI, there's a whole story behind it, but there's different ways on security. One is to actually leverage Gen AI to enhance security, but also to use Gen AI for kind of white hat hacking and things like that. But zero-day response is very common right now, where you can actually detect the threats in advance, create the policy, and implement that policy well ahead before your SecOps team can actually respond to any kind of security threat. On the operations, this is going really fast. I need to go back. Okay. Under the operations perspective, under the operations, we came up with the most number of use cases that we actually had, and quite a few, like incident response and management. Actually, one of the use cases that we'll be discussing will be around this, and on the customer support, how customers can get response and come up with a resolution for their ticket that they have raised through the MSP platform. So, wide range of use cases, and we've decided to narrow it down to really pick 6 best use cases of these, and really narrow down, really discuss these 6 use cases that I think Bappa starts with the first category.
Yeah. Just want to add one thing here. So this is a very comprehensive list of use cases. So with respect to time, we are not going to cover everything here. So we are at these use cases, 50% of them are production and some are in POC stage. But what we have done, we have taken the 6 most common use cases from this list, which are already in production, and we are going to cover those things. So these are the 6 use cases that we are going to focus today: event management, knowledge-based management, automation, customer experience, staff productivity, and reporting. These are all in production by the MSP partners we have in the program. So let's start with the event management. Event management is a very standard and core offering of any MSP. You need to make sure you have the ability to prevent the likelihood of an incident to happen. But at the same time, if incident do occur, you need to make sure you have the right tools and processes to recover the system much faster to reduce the business impact of your customer. So there are 3 main AI or Gen AI use cases that we can fold into event management. First, we have the predictive monitoring. So one of the most challenging part the MSP really does in their day-to-day operations when handling hundreds and thousands of AWS accounts, they have to deal with massive amount of data coming from different sources, different tooling, different interfaces, so on and so forth. AWS AI and generative AI offers a very powerful solution to this complexity. AWS AI and Gen AI can analyze vast amount of data in a fraction of time and identify the patterns or the kind of anomaly, so that can predict the issues before it can happen. So only things that are really matters to the MSP, those alerts are really surface, and the rest all are kind of rejected by the AI Gen AI, which is have no value. This is the alarm fatigue. Next, the event reporting. So whenever an incident occur, sometimes incident will occur, no matter how preventive you are, sometimes something fails and there will be an incident. So when event occur, MSPs are required to send a very initial summary report to your customer, highlighting what services got impacted, what is the tentative ETA, and then what is the correlation between the business process and then your cloud infrastructure. What is the correlation between that? If my EC2 is down, what business process is impacted? So that also the customer want to know from the MSP. And then internal use case can be your support team need to understand what are the steps required to do a troubleshooting. So Gen AI is really good at that. So Gen AI can process vast amount of data and create those reporting in a fraction of time, if provided with all the data sources that Gen AI need. And we'll have a demo on that. Next, event analytics. So this is we are moving to the post-event phase. So we need to understand what are the recurring pattern of the problems that are happening. What are the root cause? Gen AI is really an excellent tool for that. Gen AI can process massive amount of data in a fraction of time and identify the recurring problems and the patterns that are really critical and impacting the systems. So it only gives the MSP the way that MSPs can dive deep into those things and create the problem management for that particular solutions. So here's an architecture that has been developed by one of our partners to implement these solutions. Here you can see that Amazon Guard Duty has been used, and it can be anything, maybe a security hub can be also used. So all the Guard Duty findings are kind of stored in the S3 bucket for future reference. But whenever there is a Guard Duty finding, there's an event bridge rule that is creating a step function. So now event bridge, what event bridge is doing, it is invoking a Lambda function and sending all the findings that is coming from the Guard Duty. Lambda function in return sending those to the Amazon Bedrock, like a Cloud 3 Sonnet model running on Amazon Bedrock. These are Gen AI services that's fully managed by AWS. Now, what Bedrock is doing, Bedrock is summarizing all the findings that is coming from the Lambda and creating a recommendations, because Bedrock has been trained with all the organization data that MSP has today about the systems, about the solutions, about the services, everything. So Bedrock knows what exactly is happening. So Bedrock can send the summarization, and then it goes to the SNS topic. Now with SNS, what SNS is doing is sending a notification to the user how to solve the problem or how to create the mitigation plan, because now Bedrock has given all the summarization, all the recommendations that what needs to be done to fix the issue that is coming from Guard Duty. And then other thing is that all the logs that is coming from Bedrock or the SNS, it can be stored in CloudWatch. Very simple solutions. If you can click the QR code or scan the QR code, it will give you a step-by-step process how to implement this solution. Next, knowledge management. Knowledge management is also one of the most common use cases of Gen AI. We know MSPs build a very comprehensive knowledge-based solutions in the operations as part of the day-to-day operations, or maybe after any major incident or customer escalation. Knowledge base is really a critical asset for a MSP. But sometimes what happens? Sometimes knowledge base gets siloed, because different team has their own internal process, own internal tools to create the knowledge base. And it may become difficult for the broader team to use that knowledge and create value for their customer. So what can we do with Gen AI? So now there are again 3 different use cases that we can fold into knowledge base. So generative AI helps us to manage and integrate isolated knowledge base and creating value from previously disconnected information. So when faced with new or unfamiliar events that you don't have any runbooks, generative AI can create a dynamic runbook, because the Gen AI model can be trained with all the solutions, HLD, LLD, solution design document, troubleshooting guides, and everything. So MSPs can leverage Gen AI to quickly analyze the vast amount of data from different sources, leading to a faster event comprehension. So whenever we don't have a runbook, let's say we have migrated a new solution to the cloud, and we don't know anything about the new solution, but we have, or maybe we don't have the runbook to fix anything that comes up the solution. But we know how the solution was designed. We know the HLD, we know the LLD, we know the design documents. that can be used to train the GenAI model. So whenever that comes, MSPs can use the GenAI to create the dynamic runbook using the GenAI model as well as all the RAG information, all the organization data that we have about that workload. So that is a very popular use case that MSPs are doing today. Next, knowledge-based curation. GenAI helps to create a knowledge base. It can aggregate information from different teams, from different sources, and create a very comprehensive knowledge base. This comprehensive knowledge base can help the support team to fix a problem much faster earlier, which was taken by a different team or maybe huge amount of time to fix the problem. Because now all the knowledge are in a comprehensive resource knowledge base. Next, this improvement lead to data-driven decision-making process across the organization. Now, with a well-curated, comprehensive knowledge base, teams in pre-sales, operations, or product development can access the right data at the right time. So this could involve, as David was mentioning earlier, responding to the RFP. Now you all have the historic data. What are the RFP that you have worked a couple of months back? So you can just use some default answers from there. Or you can develop a product technology proposal for your customer. Or your support team can solve a problem much faster, like level 1 team. Previously, it was required level 2 team to come and fix the problem, because now level 1 team have access to all the information that level 2 used to use. So these are the kind of very popular use cases that MSPs are building today. Here's architecture on how we can do that. So if you see this architecture, we have used Amazon Q Business as a GenAI services and sitting in the center of the solution. And Amazon Q Business is integrated with different data sources. Like I was telling earlier, like your solution design document, your internal documentation, that can be integrated with Amazon Q, like external data sources. And then whenever an incident happens, your support team, through this application that has been built on Amazon Q Business, like a UI layer to interact with Amazon Q, can ask the information what they need to know, how to resolve a problem. Amazon Q can be fine-tuned, or using the Bedrock model can be fine-tuned. Also, it has all the external data sources to pull the data. And it can create a dynamic runbook, or it can create a knowledge curation, because it can gather all the information from different sources and provide the right recommendation to the user to fix the problem. Next, automation. Automation is another key area for driving great business outcome for the MSPs and your customers. Without the ability to automate repetitive tasks, it's really hard to minimize the heavy lifting that you all are doing, like MSPs are doing. Automation cuts across virtually every perspective of our MSP practice that we have discussed earlier. And this starts from a curated knowledge base. You leverage your existing documentations or even code to train the GenAI model, so the GenAI model can learn from your best practices and pattern to automate common repetitive tasks. This is another really great use case that MSPs are doing. Next, you can get started with operation documentations. Using your existing documentations and templates, you can build and improve your operational documentations and SOPs for anything, maybe for onboarding a new customer or creating a migration plan. Then, leveraging the existing documentations in conjunction with GenAI model, you can really solve problems which you have never done in the past, or maybe some other team had the past. So all this information, all these capabilities, MSPs can develop using the GenAI model. Again, under automation, there can be hundreds of different things that we can do, but for sake of time, we are just focusing on these three. Here's a nice architecture that MSPs are really doing. So in the MSP engagement process, in the pre-sale cycle, whenever you can do a whiteboarding session with your customer, just to let customer know how the solution is going to be delivered or developed. So let's say if you have a picture from a whiteboarding session of an architecture diagram. So what this solution can do, can scan the architecture diagram from the whiteboard, whatever the JPEG image or PNG image that you are using, and it can create a cloud formation tag. So we are using AWS Fargate. There's an application called Streamlit, open source Python library. So that application is creating a UI for your resources to upload the image from the whiteboard, the picture that you have taken, whether a JPEG or the PNG. The moment it gets uploaded to the Streamlit, it can invoke the Bedrock API's function to create a step-by-step explanation what exactly the diagram means to the people. Okay? So Bedrock can create a step-by-step explanation of that diagram. The moment it creates the step-by-step explanation, a second API is called. Then the second API will be, then the Streamlit application will be creating a prompt, the prompt engineering, and giving them a few short learning examples, few sample CloudFormation tag to train the model how the CloudFormation look like. So this is step number 2. So again, API is invoked and calling the Bedrock. And Bedrock can now get the prompt as well as the step-by-step instruction and a few sample CloudFormation stack, how it looks like. Now, Bedrock can create an initial CloudFormation stack for that diagram that we have uploaded in a very first step. Because now it knows how a CloudFormation stack look like, and then we have also given the prompt engineering with all the things that the Bedrock needs to do. The last one, whenever the users get a very initial CloudFormation stack, it can always get evolved, right? So now the engineer can say, okay, I got the initial stack, let me refine that CloudFormation stack. So that engineer can provide other step-by-step instruction or updated instruction to create a future version of that CloudFormation stack. But again, one thing to keep in mind, GenAI is not meant to replace human. Always make sure there is a human in the process to review the architecture, to review the documentation, whatever we are building. It is not meant to replace the human. It is meant to help the human to become more efficient. With that, there are a few more use cases, and I will ask David if you can take it from here.
Oh, thank you so much. Talking about customer experience, I talked a little bit about customer experience, but as we know, customers, they want faster response to their problem, and they want much faster resolution to the problem. They want to spend less time, get the response that they want, and move on. That's what we call hyper-personalized, really, customer experience that the customer are asking for. And how generative AI can really help here, you know, automating the frontline support is very helpful with, you know, providing that 24/7. You know, sometimes I talk to customers and they say, my customer support 90% doesn't need a person involved, which means my customers can come to me on a Saturday, on a Sunday, midnight, anytime that they want. That customer support that provides 24/7 is very helpful. That AI can really help. Sentiment analysis, you know, getting data-driven insights into customer experience, how the customer support session is moving on, and turning that content into actionable data that we can improve customer experience moving forward. That's another area that we can talk about. And a use case that here is where we can apply Gen AI to post-call analytics to find out how a support session is moving on, how we can improve this. And personalization, customer personalization, how we can really personalize that customer support into creating a customer profile for that specific customer, that next time that they reach out, we know how exactly, you know, every customer has its own way of doing things, and we are talking about different languages, we're talking about different emotions that involve in a customer support, and all of that can be personalized through generative AI. If we talk about, let's say, a sentiment analysis example, this could provide some kind of an example here where Amazon Q is really helping to improve that sentiment analysis. You know, let's say the customer, it starts with that intent detection machine learning model, that the goal is to find out what is the customer's issue. Once that has been realized, the semantic matching model comes in, and that semantic matching the goal is to what information is relevant to this customer session, to find that out. And the next step here would be to provide the prompt engineering and to provide a response as an agent to a customer for certain information. And using Amazon Q here, we can really find out a lot of the different sentiment analysis, and out of that we can have a response created by a large language model or a solution created by a large language model to this customer session. And again, for every use case that we are presenting, there is a barcode that if you scan, it actually walks you through that use case completely. And when we go to I talked about a little bit productivity, that generative AI can really increase productivity. The staff productivity is very, very helpful. How we can increase the productivity of employees, of the people engaged in an MSP operations using Gen AI. And there are several market analysts that have reported on this, but every market analyst that we looked, they provide significant improvement in employee productivity using Gen AI. There's some talk about 30%, 40%, and I've actually seen higher numbers, but we decided to be very conservative here, but there's definitely a boost in the productivity of employees using generative AI. How this really helps, you know, and why generative AI can really do this. Streamlining shift handovers, like let's say, for instance, for MSP operations, there's often different shifts that they have to do throughout the time zone, throughout different lines, and all of that handover typically takes a lot of time, and all of that can be streamlined using generative AI, leaving certain knowledge that the next team needs, and also certain actions that they have to take once they take over the shift. Customer assist through chatbot, that's another area where we can have significant improvement in the productivity, where the employees actually would focus on more important tasks than low-level tasks. Skill enhancement, you know, one of the things that goes into productivity is how we can enable the employees to be more effective and really providing that constant improvement for the employees using generative AI. An example of a chatbot, for instance, to be implemented using generative AI. There's multiple ways to do this. If you look into the Amazon's demo library, we have a wide range of use cases, but I think this is one of the best ones that we have picked for MSPs that uses Bedrock, using different language models in different areas where the content comes from the S3, and from there it goes to Bedrock to actually create that embeddings. The embeddings are stored in the Amazon Aurora. You can also choose other databases. Postgres is typically very flexible. And from there, the Amazon Bedrock actually generates the embedding for questions, and all of that goes through through Bedrock and then back to the user to actually provide the answer that the user is asking for. All streamlined through a simple chatbot, and all of this is actually built in, and you can implement very fast. Reporting, accelerating decision making for reporting is very, very helpful. That, you know, if you look into the time that employees have to spend in actually creating reporting, could be days, could be hours, and it all times that's lost. You know, how we can automate that, how we can use Gen AI for reporting to actually go much faster. And for MSPs, if you look into the type of reporting that they have to do, there is SLA and SLO reporting that they have to do. There is compliance reporting that they have to do. And all of that, creating this kind of report, creating the templates that they have to do, getting the numbers and automating that whole process, Gen AI can take care of all of it, and we are actually doing it already. Dynamic dashboards, this is very, very helpful. When we talk about reporting, having that kind of dashboard that you don't do the reporting, it's not a one-off. You can actually do this on an ongoing basis using AI and automate the entire process, that every time that you want the reporting, that report is available to you at any given time. An example of, let's say, a dashboard, Amazon Q has several pillars. Amazon Q for QuickSight is a very powerful way to actually extract insights from data using Amazon Q. And you can see how the insights coming from Security Hub, VPC flow logs, and CloudTrails going into a security lake, going into an S3, and from there, essentially from there, extracted into Amazon Athena as a database, and Amazon Q can extract insights and get the insights and provide it to the users as in a dashboard. And again, all of these are use cases that we've talked about, and there's quite a few. We can talk about use cases, but we provided very good use cases that you can use. And when we go into actually taking these into production, there's obviously the goal is what are the challenges that we go in the next step, how we can actually take this into production, and what really helps MSPs to actually go through that. And I think Bappa will take us through that. Thank you.
So let's talk about the responsible AI. So generative AI is a very powerful new technology that offers exciting opportunity, but also comes with a huge responsibilities. And as a MSP, you need to make sure whatever you deliver, you are responsible for that. Gen AI can create content, it can solve complex problems, or it can also help in scientific research, transforming every industry and boosting the operational efficiency. But also lately, it raised some concern about the data privacy, ethical use, and the need for new regulations. As we move forward adopting Gen AI, we need to be very careful to balance the innovative potential of Gen AI with the right consideration of risks and challenges. So how do these responsible AI dimensions get translated into practice? So based on the feedback or based on the interaction that we had with our MSPs, we have outlined the 4 best practices. But again, this is just the initial 4 best practices. This list will evolve as we become more mature using Gen AI for MSP use cases. First, put your people first. Make sure your people understand what is Gen AI, how to use it, and how to responsibly use it to innovate. That is really critical for everyone to understand. Next, assess risks on a use case basis. So here it is, consider risks in the context of use cases. For example, if you are using Gen AI in a media and entertainment industry to make a recommendation of new video or new music, your security guardrails will be very different when you are using Gen AI in a healthcare industry. So understand your use case and then make sure you are putting the right security guardrails, right safeguard to protect the customer data and the privacy. Next, continuous evolution. Building the first Gen AI application is not the end of the world. We are just starting the journey. So it may happen that you are using multiple Gen AI models or LLMs. So the producers can update the model. Your customer business might change. Your organization data might change, and that will impact your results. So always make sure you are continuously evolving your solutions that you are building. Get the feedback from your customer, from the users, and continuously update the model. Make sure it is still relevant and giving the expected output that your business needs. Last, test again, and test again. Rigorous testing is the secret strategy for any innovation. As I said earlier, building the first application doesn't mean it's a one-off activity. Always make sure whenever you are using a Gen AI LLM models or you are building a new use case, define the KPI against which you are going to measure the performance and the security of the Gen AI model. So continuously do the testing and do it very often. So again, this is just a 4 list. As I said, this list will keep on evolving as we become more mature with the MSPs adopting Gen AI for their use cases. Now, let's jump into how MSPs can really help their customer to transform their business with AI. So there are various opportunities for MSP, to be very honest. If you are working with the SMBs, you can really help the SMBs to start their service-led transformation journey with the Gen AI. Or if you are working with enterprise, really help them. They are really spending millions of dollars on AI to transform their business model. So no matter what customer segment you are managing, there's a still opportunity to support that customer segment with the Gen AI. And here comes with all the AI ops or ML ops or FM ops as a service. For that, I will ask David to just take us through what that exactly means.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Bappa. So when we want to start with Gen AI, there's different ways, and later in the presentation we have actually a way that path to adoption, which is very, very helpful. But if you want to talk about Gen AI and how we can go about it, typically machine learning operations or foundation models operation is really where most customers, they want to start. They want to understand how they can implement FM ops and ML ops into their operations, which is highly technical. But it's very important to keep in mind that it's not only the technology part. This is really if you can see in the center of the Venn diagram, it's a center of people-process technology that goes into creating that operations, that create the machine learning models that you need, the foundation models that you need. And all of that goes around how the business cycles, how the structure of an MSP is structured. And to really understand how we can actually create the best MLOps and FMOps as a service, it's very important to go through that MSP structure. And I think, Bappa, what do you think? Maybe you would walk us through the next step of that.
So customers are really increasingly looking for external AI expertise to implement the GenAI solution because they often lack the in-house capabilities. And this demand is giving rise to a new breed of MSPs, really focusing on full lifecycle support of GenAI solutions. So they are not only focusing on the infrastructure, they are making sure they are focusing on the infrastructure as well as making sure they are deploying the model, they are training the model, they are optimizing the model, and they are continuously updating and operating the model. So this is how it looks like. As a MSP, when it comes to in your engagement with your customer for any GenAI use case, you are responsible to make the infrastructure, the AI infrastructure, selecting the right silicon, making sure you are creating the AWS account, giving all the access to your customers or to your users. This is the first step of the process that where you engage with your customer. Next, data lake. Data is going to be the key differentiator of any GenAI model. So make sure that whenever you are working with the customer, maybe customer data is fragmented, residing in multiple systems. So ensure that you are ingesting the data, the right data, making the data really preparing the data to train the AI model. And then you can always create those dashboards and everything so that end user can visualize the data, what you are using to train the model. Next, you can also help your customer to define the use case, to do the experimentation. Then it comes the model building, the model training, the model testing, and the deployment, the continuous operations as part of the MSP. It's not just you are deploying the AI solution and then you are dropping the ball. You need to make sure you are sticking with your customer and you are updating the model, you are really refining the model. Next, the governance part. This is what you need to make sure the responsible AI, the cost and performance, and security are really considered. This is also an area where you need to make sure the models that you are using are all version control. Because sometimes the model will get a refresh, the model will get an update, so your output can change. So make sure it is continuously updated version, and there is someone who can audit the model, who can approve that this is the model that you can use. And the last piece of the puzzle is the application. So once you create the GenAI model, you can integrate with your customer business application. Or you can create a UI interface for your end user to access the model. So this is how the overall engagement model might look like when you are engaging with your customer and providing FMOps or AIOps or LLMOps as a service. Now, I will ask David to show us how MSPs can adopt GenAI.
Oh, thank you. We talked about adopting GenAI, and I want to go a little bit faster because of time. But at AWS, we've come up with success stories, and we've turned success stories into mechanisms that can produce results every single time. And for successful adoption of GenAI, typically we have 2 stages of ideation and path to production. And in each stage, we have several mechanisms that can be implemented. And this is available to you, to all partners and customers, to not go in this journey by yourself, but to take help, to get help from AWS. In the ideation, working backward session, executive visioning, and executive briefing sessions are very effective. And that creates and in this area where we talk about the art of the possible, that's where we can actually find out what is possible. When we go to the use case finalization, that's very important. At this stage, we can deliver a real business case, what actually that GenAI case, what business value is going to create. Typically, immersion days and experience-based acceleration really helps us to go along this path. And as we go into path to production, prototyping and POC, there are several mechanisms. Their hackathons and AI Shark Tanks has been very successful with finalizing the use case that can actually create the immediate business value for the company. And then when we go into the final production scaling, there's several mechanisms available through the GenAI Innovation Factory and PACE, and all of that most of it actually at really no cost to the partners or customers available to you. And an example of this, if you wanted to look at a typical roadmap we were talking about, the total, this would be an example of a case where we start from the art of the possible. That would be around 2 weeks. As we go into use case finalization and prototyping, we're talking about like somewhere around 8 to 12 weeks, and the finalized stages. So the total journey as we go from the beginning to the end could be finalized in the scope of 3 months with the help of AWS as we go through this adoption of the use cases. And now we're talking about the use cases. I think the right time to bring our co-presenter to present the...
Yeah, let me welcome Guido to walk us through the real implementation of GenAI as a MSP. So Guido is from Reply IT, so one of our major MSP partner in the program. So Guido, stage is yours.
Thank you, Bappa. I'll be very quick. Who we are. Reply is, among the things, an MSP for our customers. And being in the MSP program provides us a lot of benefit on what we are offering to our customers. The first one is in terms of best practices, because provided us a lot of best practices that we can follow to deliver this MSP for our customers. And since we are in the MSP program, we have seen increased our MSP business by 20%, more or less, year over year. Then helped us accelerating our path in gaining other competencies, because MSP program and CloudOps operate as a boost to gain new competencies on AWS. And then also to be compliant with some regulation, for example, the ISO 9001. What our customers see essentially are the incidents that we are managing for them or the tickets. But what they don't see is what happens above the sea level. We have time wasting. That means hidden costs and money that we are wasting. The operator that is stressed by one alarm that woke them up during the night at 1 a.m. And due to the stress, also the fact that sometimes error happens, and the human error is one of the most common causes of the time waste things. So that's why we built our internal AI Ops architecture. We started as entry point with Jira from Atlassian, that is every time a ticket is opened, calling an API gateway, from there passing essentially the information of the ticket. This is moving to a Lambda to be processed, interacting with Amazon Bedrock, and then from Amazon Bedrock interacting with an LLM. The idea behind this is to put inside the ticket the suggested resolution for the operator. But LLMs are not good enough because they don't have information, so we adopted a RAG architecture using the knowledge base that we have inside Confluence, building the knowledge base inside the vector storage, and then let Amazon Bedrock interact with this managed knowledge base to retrieve the information for the specific project or the specific customer that we are starting assisting, and then retrieving from the LLM now a RAG-assisted generation of the solution. What are the benefits that we have obtained adopting this at scale? Essentially, we have reduced by 20% the mean time to recovery for the problems. We have found that 9 times out of 10, the suggested operation to the operator is the right one. So 9 times out of 10, the operator can easily follow the instruction given directly inside the ticket and resolve the problem for the customers. And we have onboarded right now more than 20 projects inside this architecture. I'll be very quick through a demo of the process. We are using PagerDuty as a tool to handle the on-call process. I will explain. Essentially, we are starting from PagerDuty. PagerDuty is two-way connected with Jira. Every time an alarm triggers a PagerDuty, it opens a ticket in Jira. And then this triggers the on-call to the operator. Once the operator is called by the on-call system, essentially as soon as the operator is called, he has already the alarms inside the PagerDuty UI. And once opened, he can trigger 2 different types of workflows. The first one is the first that I explained. So it interacts with a plain LLM that is, okay, very quick. It interacts with an LLM that is essentially suggesting the resolution of the ticket. And as soon as he has the information, he can trigger a second process that triggers the RAG augmented workflows. Inside the RAG augmented workflows, he has more information that we found that all the time are more suitable to solve the problem. As soon as all the information are put inside the Jira ticket, the operator can directly follow all the things to solve the problem for the customer, reducing the time that he needs to solve the user request or solve the problem on a managed service or a managed architecture that we are managing for the customer. Here very quick, there was the answer given by the plain LLM, which was quite generic. But the fact that we introduced inside the RAG architecture provide more information that are extremely detailed about all the things that were happening on the specific project on which the things were not working correctly. For example, in this case, we are managing one alarm related to a load balancer. The generic answer was to try to troubleshoot on the instance, but the right one was try to go to the database because it was generated by a lock on a table provided by something that was not working correctly inside the application. So essentially, we solved the problem in a very short time without the need of additional looking into documentation. And then I will leave you the words because we are very late due also to technical problem. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me again? Yeah, okay. Should be good now. Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. We've talked a lot about AI and Gen AI so far, and it's always worth to look into the overall what's available to you when it comes to AI. When we talk about Gen AI, we're talking about providers and fine-tuners. Typically, that's where MSPs work in this space. And this space, this is the lowest layer of the AWS Gen AI portfolio, where we have actually we were working at the chip level with the Trainium and Inferentia. You can actually really start building your own language models and training them, and taking the next level. When we go into the middle layer, that's where also MSPs often work in this space. And they typically work with Amazon Bedrock, that you can actually deploy LLMs very fast and take the next step in customizing and fine-tuning them further. And on the top layer is really the end users. To create a lot of the Gen AI solutions, you really don't have to go into building. You can actually start really with Amazon Q. All flavors are with Q Business, Q QuickSight. You can get started very fast with implementing a Gen AI solution. And to get more essential knowledge how you can actually implement some of the AI, enhance some of the AI skills that you learned, Skill Builder is an excellent place to look into from AWS. There's a free version of that you can already use to learn a lot about Gen AI, and more specifically what you can do on AWS. And a lot of game-based learning experience that's there. And there's certifications that's available to you. You can really accelerate with partner certifications with AWS. And wide range of certifications. We just released the AI practitioner certification that has been very popular with the customers. And I would like to hand over to Bappa for call to action.
Thank you, David. So I know there was a delay on the demo, so sorry for that. But these are the call to action. So if you are an MSP and if you are really planning to build your new first Gen AI use case, so please explore the services that David was showing. Identify your first use case and do the demo and do the POC. and then define the KPI, how you are going to measure the success of your first use case, and measure against that result against those KPIs. And then if you need help to build your first use case, always reach out to us. Here's our email ID of the team. You can send us a message here, and we'll be more happy to join forces and build your first use case. Here are the few resources that we have added for your understanding and getting more of our information about the AWS MSP program, how to get enrolled, what are the key benefits we have, and how to get to the audit process, and how to start your practice, what are the validation checklists we have. Everything can be found here as part of the resource section. This is the exciting one, Generative AI Cloud Center of Excellence. This is a hub with full of resources, training material, market research paper, and then there's a dedicated team working in this aspect. So if you need any help to build your first use case or to explore any use case that we have explored, everything can be found here. There's a 250 resources already available, and we are expanding that list going through. So please visit this portal through your Partner Central account. So if you are an AWS partner, you already have an account in the Partner Central, so you can access this material. If you are not, then you need to enroll into the AWS partner network. With that, so thank you everyone. So if you could, the last thing that we'll be requesting, if you can take your mobile out and do the survey for us so that we can know what we can improve in the next session, that will be super helpful. So the survey can be found on your AWS Event mobile app. If you go to the More section, there will be an option called Survey. So please take that out and please fill out the survey for us. So again, thank you for joining and staying with us.